Hey y'all, happy Friday. I hope that y'all have had a great week. So, guess what, y'all? Today I feel like I have been in a rut. And the one thing that I tell people a lot of times is when we're in difficult situations to think back into a time where God really showed up and showed out. So, my particular situation today, which I'm probably going to have to do multiple parts because there were so many ways that God showed up in my pregnancy. But today I'm going to tell you how He showed up in me finding the perfect doctor. To have my daughter. So, just a little backstory. In January of 2022, I found out I was pregnant, but the way that I found out, I was already having a miscarriage. That was that's a whole nother story for another day. But then after that miscarriage, I we got pregnant again, maybe 3 months later, because it was about April when we found out, and I ended up having a miscarriage with that one too, but I had gotten a little bit further along to where I was actually looking for doctors. So I had a criteria. It had to be a female, she had to be black, and she also had to be a Genesis doctor because I'm a Genesis girl. No shade to nowhere else, but I'm a Genesis girl. And so I actually had found this doctor in Farmington Hills. Her name is Kimberly Moore. If you want a great doctor and you do not mind, a great OBGYN, you don't mind traveling that hour time from Flint, that's your girl. Um, I found her and we ended up not getting that far to where I even ever had a first visit with her because I started experiencing the miscarriage, which at that time we also had lost my grandmother. It was so much going on. But fast forward to December of 23, which is a full circle moment because the very first miscarriage I obviously had to have been pregnant in December. Wow. Okay. Anyway, December 24th of 2023, Christmas Eve, we found out we were pregnant. At this point, I'm like, I'm on pins and needles because I have already experienced two different miscarriages back to back, and we had gotten to the point where we had just kind of given up on just, trying to have a kid. Like, we was like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So at this point, I'm still on pins and needles because I am a little traumatized from the past two pregnancies. Because that last one, oh my God, like we lost my grandmother at the same time, but I also had to, like, my numbers weren't going down. So I had to get blood draws like every week. And oh, they got on my nerves. But God got me through it. So God really, really got me through it. Anyway, so we found out that we're pregnant, and I was so sick on Christmas. I did not eat that Christmas, but I also found out that like maybe a couple days later that I had COVID symptoms, tested positive for COVID. So that was, whew, God got me through that or whatnot. But I also knew I was pregnant, so it was kind of hard um, to recover. But that's God's grace. That was the first set of God's grace right there. Anyway, so I go back and I go back to this doctor and I keep going back and I keep going back. I keep looking through Genesis OBGYNs, and she was the closest, but she was also in Farmington Hills, which is an hour away from where I live. And I was like, I had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, is this the doctor for me? Is this the doctor for me? But I could not find anybody else. I did actually find some other black female doctors, but they were all still in like the Detroit or Brighton area or something like that. But like I just kept coming back to this lady, and I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? If this is the doctor for me, God, show me. I ain't even gonna worry about it no more. Show me so that I could go ahead and make the appointment. I actually really went on about my day, and actually I didn't go on. Well, I did go on about my day, but like I said that, and then I got on Instagram, and so because I was like, I'm not finna worry about this. It's too much going on. I get on Instagram and I'm like scrolling, and I get to a video of Kiera Shear, and so I watched the video, And I went onto her page, and I don't even like know. Well, obviously God had me doing this, but like I'm just like scrolling on her page and just looking at different videos of her singing or preaching or whatever, and I'm just watching these videos, and then I come to this video where she is telling us about her OBGYN and giving us a recommendation. This same doctor was her OBGYN. And I was like, Lord, that's it. That's the one. Like, I literally picked up the phone and I called them immediately after that because I was like, okay, Lord, that's the second thing that God has done for me in this pregnancy at that point. Um, and so I'm feeling confident about this, but I scheduled an appointment, which wasn't until about 4 weeks later. Um, and I get to the doctor's office. I'm traumatized from the other two pregnancies. So I'm just like, I'm praying all the way there. Like, Lord, let this baby still be here. Let this like be a viable pregnancy. That's all I was praying the whole time there. Anyway, we get there. Everything looks good. Everything looks fine. Actually, no, let me back up. We get there. And the lady that worked me up, she, actually, let me back up some more. I have an aunt that I hadn't seen since I was maybe like 3, 4, or 5. No, it wasn't 3, but somewhere like that, 4, 5, maybe 6ish. Like I was a young kid, whatnot, because her and my uncle had divorced. And so this lady that calls me back, works me up, gets all my vitals and stuff. She looks exactly like her, but we also realized that we have the same last name, and I'm like, okay. And so we're talking about our last name and how people don't always pronounce Levy right. Some people say Levy, whatever. And we're talking about that, but like this whole time I'm running through my brain, and so I'm like, her badge was turned around, but one time it flipped over, and I see the first name, and I'm like, that's my aunt's name. Like this is running through my head the whole time. So she goes out of the room like she's done with me or whatnot. And while I'm waiting on the doctor to come in, I look at my husband and I'm like, I think that's my aunt. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm pretty positive that this is her. Like, I haven't seen her since I was a kid, but I had seen, I remembered her because I had been to their house multiple times, but there also are pictures of her in my grandmother's house. And so I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is her. Go through the whole appointment, and I was like, if I see her again, maybe I'll ask her. But at this point, like, I don't want to seem like I'm crazy or whatnot. But it obviously didn't click to her either. Like, we was just like, I was a little girl, literally a little girl. And so I see her in the hallway as I'm walking out, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her. And I was like, did you live in Flint, or are you from Flint or something like that? And she was like, yeah, like a while ago or whatnot. And so I don't remember what the conversation was in between, but I was like, I have an aunt that like I haven't seen since I was like a little girl. And she was like, what's your parents' name? And I was like, Charles and Phyllis. And she was like, oh my God. Like, and like she's just sitting here like, and I'm like, I knew I wasn't crazy. And that confirmed that I had picked the right doctor. Because it was like, it was just so much. Like seeing it, God allowed me to see it on Instagram while I was minding my business. But to also like reunite with an aunt that I hadn't seen in a long time. Literally, like I was 27 when I was pregnant with my daughter. So it was just like I felt like God had strategically designed this team to be for me. The team was phenomenal throughout the whole pregnancy. Even I got to tell y'all about my birth story too, but I'll do that in another video because I did not expect this video to be this long. But I say all of that to say that when you truly surrender to God, He will lead you in the right way. When you truly say, God, I'm just going to like, just show me the way. I'm going to just do it your way. Just show me that He hears us. He will 100% answer your prayers. And you don't have to worry about anything. I literally did not have to worry about anything that whole pregnancy, even though there were some things that I was worried about, which I'll talk about another time. But I'm just so grateful because God truly led me to the right team. If there's something that you're in the dilemma about, completely give it over to God, and I promise you, He will give you the answer. I love y'all. Until the next video.